Hi, it's Dr. Soroyce with Mystical Professor. How are you this fine evening? I just want to get on here real quick and talk about states of consciousness. What are states of consciousness? Neville used to explain it this way, which I find to be incredibly easy to understand. For instance, say you decide to go visit New York City, right? You go visit New York City, right? And then you leave. The state of New York, or I should say the city of New York City and the state of New York stay the same. And you're a traveler, so you've passed through, leaving the state the same. That's kind of how a state of consciousness is. So you got a poor state and a rich state. And I hate to always be talking about money, but a lot of people want and need and would like more money, okay? As well as SP. All right, so you want to be rich. You want to be a state of rich and leave your state of poor, or maybe, maybe middle class. I think the middle class is like hardly there anymore. But anyway, you get my point. You want to be in a state of wealth, okay, rich. I don't know how rich you want to be, but you want to be a state of rich. The fastest way to get to this state of being rich is to assume that you're rich. If that doesn't work for you, you can either assume. Well, I already said assume. Because it's your beliefs that create your state. It's your assumptions that create your beliefs. It's your affirmations. It's your visualizations, your subliminals, whatever you're using, your methods, your placebo, that your training wheels to get you into that state. Okay, I'm going to go over this one more time because I do not want to confuse anybody. You're passing through the state of New York. We'll just leave it at New York. You passed through, right? But the state stayed the same because you just went through. You stayed there, visited, or whatever, or you ate dinner there. The state stayed the same. You passed through, okay? All right, so you have a state of consciousness. You got poor, rich. You want to be in a state of rich, wealth. So you can either assume, script, affirm to create the assumption, belief, to put you in that state of wealth, okay? The other night somebody asked me, was it last night? I think it was last night, I'm not sure, or the night before. Anyway, someone was asking me, because I gave an example of being wealthy, right? Specifically, I'm trying to remember exactly what I said. Oh, that basically somebody that was born rich, because you can't know something unless you experience it. So somebody that's rich doesn't understand what it's like to be poor, and vice versa. We understand that. That's why we do what we're doing to get ourselves into the state of being rich. I don't think there's many poor people out there that really want to stay in the state of being poor. There's not many rich people, I should say, that want to go to being in a state of being poor, but there could be. I don't know. Only that individual knows, because the individual is the creator of his or her own reality. They are the operant power. They are the power source with one, whether it's universe, atheism, or God, whichever you choose. So Neville explained that the Bible was not secular history. It's all talking about states of consciousness. Think of all the different individuals in the Bible. Sarah, who had a baby at 90 something. Mary, who had been married 5 times. There's so many more. I'm sorry to be giving out women. I'm just more familiar with the women, right? But there, of course, were men. We had the murderer, the thieves, and we had somebody that was Moses. And that's a whole nother ball game if we start talking about Moses. But anyway, you get my point. All right, they all served a purpose, okay? Those are states of consciousness, so you want to get yourself in a wealthy state. But my point is, with bringing up that example, even if somebody who's in a state of consciousness of being rich and they lost the $1 million, which that was brought up as an example, they may not know how to cope. Yes, they do, because they're already in that state of consciousness. So it may take them a minute or two, but they're going to create more wealth because he or she's already in that state. Okay? Unless they choose to go to a state of being poor. That's entirely up to that individual. Okay? I hope I didn't confuse you. I wanted to keep this super simple. I hope. So basically, it's like when you're listening to subs, You're creating the neurological pathways either by assuming, because some people just assume it and they remind themselves, oh yeah, I already have it. They're affirming it. I'm rich, money magnet, money always flows to me in rivers and oceans and whatever, morning, noon, and night. I make money in my sleep. It's so easy for me to make money, however you want to, because even if you're born poor, you can still get yourself in a state of wealth. My son did it. Okay, he wasn't born poor, but he owns this very expensive, very, very expensive home. He put himself in this state. He put himself in it. Yes, he worked very hard for it, but he still manifested it. Okay, along with his wife, with their business. It's still, they did it at a very young age. Okay, however they got there, they got there. My son was determined to get to the academy, the other son, okay? And collectively, we all saw him being successful, and he made it through now. He's got a top secret security clearance, and he's working at Minot underground. He got there, okay? He still manifested it. So you're manifesting 24/7. It never turns off, guys. You were born manifesting from the minute you took your breath. I'm trying to help you be deliberate, conscious manifestors to stay out of the states that you don't want to be in by just changing your thinking or your thoughts, your assumptions, and ultimately your state of consciousness. Okay? You know what you think. If you're predominantly thinking, because your dominant thoughts are what create your assumptions, what ultimately leads you to the state. You desire a state of wealth. It's simple. You assume it, or you use your training wheels, whether it's mixture. And I use a mixture, obviously. That's why I started creating subliminals, affirmations. I do it all, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. I script, I affirm, I visualize, I meditate, and I assume, and then I remind myself that, oh, no, I already have it. If the thought comes up, I don't go looking for it, and I don't think against it. I'm cautious about what I say or think, do, and I don't take no for an answer, so I'm going to be brazenly impudent. And then I have no contradicting thoughts, and I identify with the state that I want, state of health. Somebody, I go to the doctor and the doctor tells me you have cancer. No, I don't. Something's wrong with your paperwork. And I've seen that happen. I've seen false positives. I've seen that with even COVID pandemic, that COVID nonsense that I never, ever believed in, because I don't choose to believe in it. And therefore, I am not in that state. I'm in a state of health 24/7. I'm in a state of youth. I'm always in a state of positivity, okay? And once you reach that state, because like I gave you that example of somebody who was born rich and they lost all their millions, they're gonna get them again, somehow, some way, because they're already in that state, okay? All right, I just wanted to come on here real quick and explain states of consciousness. I was gonna say something else, but I got distracted. My husband came up. I was trying to get to a point. So all I'm saying is you put yourself in that state, and even if you fall out of it, you can put yourself back into it, okay? But what I'm saying is, with the example, the person who falls out of state of wealth because by losing the money, they don't fall out of the state. What I'm saying is they lose their millions, but they're still in the state of wealth. They will get the wealth back, okay? Neville will use that as examples all the time. And I know that to be true because I've seen that happen. If you don't believe me, here's something for you. Say somebody wins millions of dollars, right? And this is the same with the self-concept. They win millions of dollars from the lottery, and on average, most of those people lose it within the first 2 years. Why? Because they have always assumed or always been in a state of consciousness of being poor, or they weren't good enough, or whatever the case may be, okay? So they lose it, all right? That's not good. That's what I'm trying to say. Put yourself in it. If you fall back out, put yourself back in it by assuming it, whether you use the placebo, whether you use the affirmations, whether you use the scripting, whether you use the visualizations, whether you use the subliminals, whatever it takes to get you there. The key is And Neville also, you know, preached. That's why I put up that brazenly impious, as well as I think it's the other lecture. Oh, him on the TV, the TV audio from the 1950s. He believed that falling asleep in the act of visualizing, affirming, putting yourself in that state, you're saturating yourself with that state of consciousness, that you're going to manifest it even faster. That's what he believed. Whatever you choose to believe, you can change your belief with your affirmations. Again, I don't want to sound robotic. Your visualizations, your subliminals, that's your goal to get you to your state of consciousness. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I hope that you're understanding what I'm saying. Okay, you fall out, you can put yourself back in. Okay, state of health. If you fall out, that's what I was trying to say. I've always assumed that I'm healthy, and I've never been sick in my entire life. But if someone was that's what I think I was trying to explain to you. If somebody was to diagnose me with cancer, I'd be saying no. Something wrong with your paperwork or your machines. You need to take another test. And that happens. That's what I was trying to say. There was a lot of false positives. I know people were tested for COVID, and then the test was actually negative. They later found out. So I'm saying, so there can be false positives, and why not always say that? Always think in your favor. Okay. Always think in your favor. Like I said, give it all good meaning, no matter what you see. Oh yeah, don't forget to ignore the 3D. Okay, ignore, choose what you want, and be it. And that's what else, I'm gonna close on that. When you ignore, choose, be, you think, act, feel, speak from that state of consciousness. So if it's a state of wealth, you just think those thoughts, speak those thoughts, act those thoughts, and most of you are doing it in your head. Okay? Have fun. This is supposed to be fun, guys. Have fun doing it. All right, I hope that, I didn't mean to be on here this long. I hope you understood states of consciousness. If not, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I will, the next time I do an upload, it will be about time. Okay, time. You guys need to understand what time is, okay? All right. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And remember, I'm available for coaching. All you have to do is reach out to on my email, which is on my profile. I try to put it under the description because I want everybody to be in their states of consciousness in order to create the reality, because that putting yourself in that state of consciousness is going to help you create your reality that you desire so much faster, guys. That's what the subliminals are for as well, because they're bypassing your reasoning mind, they're bypassing your logical mind, and they're bypassing your conscious mind and getting right down into your subconsciousness, because it's once you impress your subconscious, we know that's what gets reflected out here. So you want that state of consciousness to be reflected out here, right? Right. Take care, guys.